Being real, this movie really didn't have a chance in hell considering it was released just 3 months after Minus One. Directed once again by Adam Wingard, Godzilla X Kong: The New Empire was a movie I wasn't really looking forward to. Not because I thought it was going to be bad, but it was mainly because I wasn't super interested in having a follow-up to Godzilla vs. Kong. It was a fine movie, but sequel-wise, I just wasn't really sure where they were going to go from there. So once Godzilla X Kong was announced, I just wasn't really sure how to feel about it. It was just, oh, a new movie? I'll see it when it comes out, and hopefully the peak of cinema won't get released just before this one. Well, going right into the movie because, being honest, I barely care about it. We see that Kong has remained in the Hollow Earth that was discovered in the last movie, while Godzilla remains on the surface, so the two of them can maintain their own territories. In the human plot, Jaya and Dr. Eileen are both back, with Jaya now going to school, but it turns out she just doesn't fit in. She's also been getting these weird hallucinations and dreams that makes Eileen really worried about her. Eileen ends up going to the podcaster from the last movie, Bernie, to help figure out what's going on. Yeah, the only returning actors are Rebecca Hall as Eileen, Kaylee Hodo as Jaya, and Brian Tyree Henry as Bernie. So Millie Bobby Brown and her dad from the last two movies are just gone, and I'm guessing there's no way we're gonna see O'Shea Jackson Jr. return from King of the Monsters anytime soon. Who knows, maybe a future sequel can bring these characters back. No chance in hell Kick-Ass or Scarlet Witch are coming back though. We do get one new character that everyone calls Trapper, played by Dan Stevens, who's a decent addition to the cast, and has a pretty amusing introduction where he fixes Kong's broken tooth. Anyways, back to the plot. Turns out Jaya's hallucinations were being triggered by a signal that was apparently sent from Hollow Earth, which also causes Godzilla to wake up and start wreaking havoc, absorbing more radiation in different parts of the Earth. They eventually find out that the signal from Hollow Earth is actually a cry for help, so both the gang and Kong travel there to try to find the source. Kong ends up discovering that more of his species are actually still around, including this small, dumb, baby-looking ape known as Suko, who Kong ends up beating up a bunch. After their initial encounter, Kong pretty much makes Suko guide him to the rest of the tribe, so Kong and Suko are traveling together for a good portion of the movie. The humans also find out that the Iwi tribe, which is where Jaya came from, are still around and were the ones who sent out the signal. It turns out a long time ago, an evil titan known as the Scar King tried to conquer the surface Earth, but Godzilla managed to seal him away in the Hollow Earth. So the Scar King is plotting a new attack on the surface again, so the Iwi sent out the signal, and it turns out there's a prophecy that reveals that Jaya is the key to reawakening Mothra, a new reborn Mothra. I knew she wasn't just gonna stay dead. Getting back to Kong, Suko leads him to the rest of the tribe where he encounters both the Scar King and the King's captured titan, Shimo. Shimo's a pretty neat original monster. Like, instead of breathing fire, he breathes ice, which is cool. Fuck, that wasn't intentional. So Kong gets his ass handed to him by the Scar King, gets his hand covered in frostbite. He even loses his coal battle axe from the last movie. But Suko helps Kong escape and gets him back to the rest of the humans, where Trapper decides to give Kong a huge power glove of sorts, healing his frostbite and regaining strength in his arm again. Oh yeah, Godzilla was in the movie too, I guess. He's still on the surface going around killing titans and absorbing their radiation so he can become more powerful. Because it's speculated that after Godzilla was woken up by the signal, he decided to grow more power for a potentially oncoming threat. I think my biggest complaint when it comes to the Titan slash Kaiju that was used in this movie is that Godzilla basically does fuck all. Now, I still love this version of Kong. He's the heart of this movie and every scene with him is great and entertaining. I just wish I could say the same for Godzilla because it almost seems like the writers had no clue how to use him in the movie. You know, at least before the finale. Like, he's top billing for God's sake and he's hardly doing anything here. The most he does before the finale is fight Kong again, which is a decent fight, but it's not all that exciting since we already saw them fight in the last movie. Though the one thing I did really enjoy about the scene is that Mothra, now revived, shows up and basically forces the two to stop fighting. Not only that, but Jaya's even with her. So in a way, Mothra is calming down Godzilla, and Jaya's there to keep Kong in line. I really liked that. In case you couldn't put two and two together, Godzilla and Kong team up to fight the Scar King, in a pretty decent final fight in Rio. They even managed to break Shimo out of the Scar King's control, leading to the bastard getting completely frozen, and Kong smashes him to pieces. That's pretty great. Oh yeah, at some point during the movie, Eileen voices concern to Trapper that she's worried Jaya will want to stay with the Iwi tribe because of how she's been struggling to fit in with society on the surface. But it's insanely predictable that Jaya's obviously gonna end up staying with her and not the tribe, so there's not really a whole lot of tension there. So it's a happy ending for everyone. Godzilla heads back to the surface to nap, and Kong stays in the Hollow Earth with Suko, becoming the new king of the Kong tribe. Does that mean he's King Kong now, not just Kong? Oh, whatever. And that was Godzilla X Kong, It's Just Okay. Not a bad movie or anything, it's kinda just fine. I didn't want to bring up Minus One too much in this review, but man, that movie did not do New Empire any favors by being so good. The human characters in Empire are fine, but they're just sort of surface level, formulaic, and average in terms of writing. They don't really capture the same amount of engagement as Minus One's characters. Like I said, the heart of this movie is easily Kong. He's got a fun personality, and he's so amusing to watch. In terms of special effects, I'll give the movie this. The CG looks pretty solid. The expressions and overall performance of Kong is fantastic, and the action scenes are pretty well done too. But personally, I think there are 3 weak parts of the movie. First is the generic human characters. Like, they're not terrible, they fill the screen with some decently amusing scenes, but you don't really care too much about them. Eileen and Jaya were great in the previous movie, and I did really like seeing Jaya communicate with Kong again using sign language. It's just a really cool concept for helping Kong communicate, and I'm glad they kept using it. So seeing these 2 characters return is still great, even though their arc was insanely predictable. Trapper's a decent character, and his back and forth moments with Bernie can be pretty funny, but they don't really add that much else.
You're carried away! I'm gonna kiss you on the mouth!
The second issue I have is Godzilla. Just Godzilla. He has nothing to do and doesn't really seem important until the last scene. It's really disappointing in a movie where both him and Kong are supposed to be the stars. Like, this is basically just a Kong movie. Also, what the hell did they do to Godzilla's design? Like, he's so skinny now, especially after he keeps absorbing the radiation from the other Titans. Did they really make Godzilla skinnier because of all the dumbass complaints about him being fat in the other movies? Or did they really just want to have Godzilla running faster in these shots with Kong? Why? What was the point? Oh yeah, I guess they made Godzilla playable in Fortnite. It's pretty cool, but what the fuck are those legs? Jesus. The third issue I have is the score. Like, do you even remember anything about this movie's soundtrack? No. It's dull, forgettable, and nothing about it sticks out. I'm using music from the other movies in this review. That's how boring the soundtrack is. And I kinda hate Junkie XL now. He did one great soundtrack like 10 years ago, but everything else has been shit or forgettable. He's also using AI, so that's fun. Just bring back Bear McCreary from King of the Monsters. He really seemed to care about the series. And he even did a cool rendition of Blue Oyster Cult's Godzilla song, featuring my idol Serj Tankian as the singer. Ugh. Overall, Godzilla X Kong: The New Empire is a fine, decently entertaining action movie with not too much else to really offer. Seriously, releasing this movie shortly after Minus One was just a recipe for disaster. At the very least, this movie did become the highest grossing kaiju movie of all time, making more than Godzilla 2014 even. So hey, they can't take that away from New Empire. Regardless, we can't just go from 10 out of 10 cinema to a 5 out of 10 popcorn movie. It doesn't work. That's whack. But if you enjoyed the other Monsterverse movies, then you'll definitely enjoy this one. Comparisons aside, it's an entertaining little monster movie that fortunately doesn't overstay its welcome. Being less than 2 hours long really does elevate the movie a little, so it's not a slog to get through. Maybe a future movie will be better, but I personally don't trust Hollywood studios to want to suddenly take chances and hire visionaries willing to take monster movie schlock and take it in a similar direction to Minus One, but I guess we'll see what happens next. So go check out The New Empire if you enjoyed the other Monsterverse films, but if you loved Godzilla Minus One, then maybe just approach this one with lower expectations. This was quite the polar opposite review compared to the last Godzilla video, but hope you enjoyed watching. I'll see you all in the next review. Bye.